She said, "It's not my fault you couldn't produce a child." What I did next silenced the whole room. My husband's sister moved in after her boyfriend bailed on her pregnancy. I took her in without hesitation because that's what family does. She was crying on our doorstep at midnight with 2 garbage bags of clothes, and I didn't even think twice. I set up the guest room, bought her favorite snacks, and told her to stay as long as she needed. But then things got weird. She started treating my house like a hotel. Dishes piled up in the sink for days. My labeled food disappeared from the fridge constantly. She'd leave wet towels on my bed and her makeup all over my bathroom counter. Zero respect for any boundaries I tried to set. I worked from home while she sat on my couch watching reality TV all day, volume cranked up so loud I couldn't hear my work calls. One morning, I went to make coffee and found my favorite mug shattered in the sink, the one my grandmother gave me before she died. She said it slipped while she was washing dishes, but I'd literally seen her using it as a paintbrush holder for her nail art the night before. When I mentioned it, she just shrugged and said, "Accidents happen." I tried talking to my husband about it. He kept saying she was going through a lot and we needed to be patient, that she was pregnant and hormonal and scared. Every time I brought up an issue, he made me feel like I was being cruel for not understanding her situation. So I stopped complaining and just dealt with it. Then came the baby shower I didn't know about. I'd been at a doctor's appointment all morning. When I pulled into my driveway around 2 in the afternoon, there were cars everywhere, balloons tied to my mailbox. I walked inside and found my living room packed with strangers. Pink decorations covered every surface. A giant cake sat on my dining table. My husband appeared from the kitchen looking nervous. He pulled me aside and whispered that his sister wanted to reveal something special in the nursery upstairs. She'd been working on it all week as a surprise. My stomach dropped. The nursery. I hadn't been in that room since my miscarriage 3 months ago. I'd kept the door closed because walking in there felt like drowning. My husband was already leading people toward the stairs. I followed behind the crowd like I was floating outside my own body. Everyone was laughing and chatting about how excited they were to see what she'd done. Someone said she had such amazing taste. Another person said the baby was so lucky to have such a creative mom. We reached the top of the stairs. My husband opened the door to the nursery, the room I'd painted pale yellow, the room where I'd assembled a crib at 7 months pregnant, the room where I'd folded tiny clothes I would never use. That room, she completely redecorated it. My crib was gone. My rocking chair was gone. She'd replaced everything with her own stuff. New furniture, different colors, like my loss never even happened, like that room had never belonged to my baby. I stood frozen in the doorway while everyone walked in and started complimenting her work, telling her how beautiful everything looked, how lucky her baby was. She was beaming and soaking up every word. That's when she turned to everyone and said it. She gestured toward me standing in the hallway and announced loudly, "It's not her fault she couldn't produce a child, so I'm giving this room a second chance at being a real nursery." The room went completely silent. You could hear someone's phone buzzing in their purse. I looked at my husband, waiting for him to say something, waiting for him to defend me, to tell his sister that was unacceptable. He just stared at the floor with his hands in his pockets. I felt everyone's eyes on me. Some people looked uncomfortable. Others looked curious to see what I would do. His sister stood there with this smug little smile like she'd just done something charitable. I pulled my phone out of my pocket and opened my banking app. My hands weren't even shaking. I turned the screen toward the crowd so everyone could see the property deed I'd saved as a photo and said very calmly, "This house is in my name only. I bought it 3 years before we got married, and you both have 72 hours to pack your things and get out." My husband's face drained of all color, and his sister's smile finally disappeared.